Welcome everybody to another episode of Community Voices. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm feeling great. Second month of the year. I know the year's been going crazy already, so I hope everybody's doing good. Happy Black History Month. Very excited to be able to participate with JD and really do some really cool things for this moment because I think it's important now more than ever. And it is beautiful for us to be able to kick off this month for somebody who is amazing talent, like amazing talent, basically a guy in Chicago, and has a very interesting story of his upbringing that I think is just a testament to not just Black excellence, but just how what happens when you continue to remember where you came from, keep your community first, lock in on you, take care of your mental health, and just really be the best you could be every single day. And so I'm extremely excited to be sitting with Chicago Bulls point guard Coby White. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How about you, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm just keeping up with everything going on, especially all this NBA stuff. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's wild right now.
I think we're all looking at it. Um, but I know we're also in season with everything going on, so I want to make sure I respect your time.
Mm.
Uh, I want to start off with this. As somebody who just a fan of the game, really also has having seen you like grow throughout the years, your time with the Chicago Bulls. I think it's very interesting that you had dreams of just getting a full ride through college that turned into you being drafted, that turned into you dunking on Wemby, which is like insane. But over the years, I think you mentioned like in different interviews your level of growth over time, which I think you can definitely see on the court and off the court and like how you step into leadership in your career. So I would just love to know what's kind of been one of the biggest areas of focus for yourself, like going deeper into this season and this year. Like what's your kind of like growth focus area this year?
I think continuing to kind of grow my mental health, grow spiritually. I think, especially coming into this year, I was gonna have a different role from last year. And then with a lot of stuff out of our control, as you can see, like with our team, like trades and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff I knew coming into it. It's gonna be a lot different. So for me, I think just focusing on what I can control and being in the right mental space, I feel like could help me, stay in the moment, but also, be myself and not get too caught up in everything that's going on around me. So I think for me, just continuing to grow spiritually, and then obviously um taking control of my mental health, continue to grow in that aspect. But I think for me, when I got a good my mental health is at a good point. Everything else kind of take care of itself. And I think like I said, with everything that has transpired this season, as everybody see during the trade deadline now, a lot of stuff for players in general is out of our control. We don't know, where we're going to end up, what's going to happen to us. So I think for not only me, but for everyone, I think having that good mental, especially in times like this, is good for everyone, all the players, especially.
I love that. And I think two pieces that you kind of spoke on too, as far as like you like your focus this season and in mental health. I think the one thing that I've seen from you is that like over time, no matter what your position is or role is or how the team has changed, you've performed. Every
Mhm.
minute that you're on the court, every chance you get, you're out there having some kind of impact. And I think you even see that now. Like as your minutes continue to increase or have continued to increase over the years, your performance, you're still putting up numbers. The clip is getting higher. Like you're still putting up those numbers and still performing really high, which I think this speaks to like your greatness and how much you really lock in mentally and physically as a person in general. So I think with that being said, I would love to just kind of know how does it feel to like consciously or unconsciously watch yourself unlock these new levels in yourself, whether it's like a game high or like you doing a dunk, and you're like, well, I didn't even know I really, where did that come from? Like just seeing how you start to unlock these new levels of yourself that you never experienced, but that come from that growth, that work that you've been doing on yourself. What does that feel like?
I mean, it always feels great. I think in any aspect of life where you put in the work, you put in the time, you sacrifice everything, and then you see the results. You start to see the results. So for me, I kind of know the work you put in physically during the summer. Everything physically, I feel like comes from the summer work, and
Mm.
then spirit, and then like during the season, just where mental, maintaining a good mental and all that type of stuff. But for me, I think it's always just you put in the work, it's gonna take time. Sometimes you put in the work and you put in everything and stuff don't work out in your favor. And that's just how life is. It's unfair. But I think to see it kind of unravel over the years, the way it's unraveled, like you said, me being in different, situations, different positions, different roles, going through adversity. I think adversity molds you as a person. So I feel like, for me to see all the work and everything continue to like obviously I have a long way to go. I got, a lot of goals that I want to accomplish throughout my career and I got still far from it. But I think for me, continue to take steps in the right direction is huge for my confidence and for, you know, just a sense of, gratitude too, that everything is falling into place. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that, like, even, the things that you've been speaking on, I think speak to just like they translate not just on the court, but like it makes sense. Like, even like how you focus in spiritually, being very big on mental health. I think oftentimes a lot of our external expressions and things like that, they start from inside. They come from the heart, they come from the mind, they come from how are you taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? So I love that you even focus on that because I think even to your point, like you were saying, like, you put in all this work and sometimes you don't see the result. But I love it too. I think that you speak to the piece of gratitude where sometimes you got to have the faith that the work that I'm putting in now is not for me to see now, it's for me to see years down the road. So
Yep.
I love that even that is the mental space and like the faith that you have in it. So I love that. I want to get into some of the community work you do, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. You know what's coming, so bear with me. Now, you know, we saw it all over the place. I see it coming? No, but did I know you had it in you? Yes. The dunk on Wemby. That man, I know he's a freak of nature. He is, I mean, I can't even imagine somebody at that height. If you would have said to somebody at that height we playing in the NBA the way he is, I'd be like, no, no way. But we're here in the league at that point now, and you made a statement on him. What was it just like? Like, what was the mindset in that moment when you did it? And also, like, what was the reaction after that, after the game? Like, how did the team talk about that moment? Or was it talked about? Was it just like, yo, like I know I do that all the time. Like, I'm like that. Like, what was it like?
No, I mean, I think in the moment it was just the habits and everything kind of take over.
Mhm.
He obviously leads the league in blocks by a wide margin.
Yeah.
So so for me, I think, it was a chance to kind of seal the game and I was just gonna try it because like I think that night he had like 5 or 6 plus blocks and 2 or 3 of them had came on me. So for me, it was like the next time I told myself, before that, if I get another angle at the rim, then I'm just gonna try to dunk it because he was blocking everything else.
Hmm.
And so I kind of got him early. I feel like he was kind of late coming over. I feel like if he was any sooner, it probably would have got blocked. But yeah, so I think after that, obviously like it was I think my teammates we all get along. We're super close, but I think we were all more excited about just getting a big time win because that was a big win for us because they kind of controlled the game and we never let go of the rope. So we kept fighting and we fought through that adversity that came with that game. And I think, I mean, obviously they were hyped for me. They were super excited for me. But I think most importantly was that we had got a really big win, a big win. So that was good for us. And it was an incredible moment. Not a lot of people I think is going to be able to say they dunked on, Wemby when it's said and done. And the career, the trajectory that he's on, for me to be able to tell my kids and stuff like that because he'd probably, obviously be one of the best to ever do it when it's said and done,
Yeah.
God willing for him. So, like you said, he's something we've never seen before, something I've never seen before. He's definitely taller than what they list him as. He's definitely taller than, I think they list him as like 7'3". He's definitely taller than that. But, like I said, I never try to take those moments for granted. So I'm enjoying when it happens and that's a memory I feel like that'll last a lifetime for my life.
For sure. And it may say more about your vert than it says about his height. So, you never know.
Yeah,
But I want to get into a little bit of the foundation piece here, as a part of our ongoing commitment to the community and uplifting voices. We're partnering with Coby White to donate 15K to the Coby White Family Foundation, which is a super exciting moment to do, not just in this month, but it's in this year. I think the thing about community voices, that even though it is Black History Month, we want to make sure that we're taking care of the community, taking care of the culture throughout the year, every single day. So love that we have the opportunity to do this, and I really appreciate you using your time and your platform and your foundation to really make these things kind of happen.
yeah,
Also,
appreciate y'all.
for sure, for sure. And also, status members who are watching or who are tuned in, please don't forget that you can turn those points into change and also donate to the charity every CV episode. So, this is a great time to turn some of those status points into charitable donations to help continue our cause as well. Kobe, can you just tell me a little bit more about the foundation? Just kind of like some background on like, not just like why you started it and the overall like what it is, but also if you have any like memorable moments that have kind of happened through this foundation since its inception, like please feel free. Floor is yours.
Yeah, so like I kind of just as my career has grown, I'm getting older. Early on in my career, I kind of just wanted to mainly focus on basketball, kind of take care of that, and then get into all the other stuff after. So I think, especially after like last year, my fifth year, I feel like I was, growing and like I said, maturing and watching my peers, everybody around me, kind of give back to their community, like Ayo on the team, Ayo, DeMar, then CP. I follow him a lot. So I kind of wanted to, start a foundation and get with my family and those people close to me. Kind of brought up the idea, and just kind of build the groundwork for it. Seeing, how it would go, and we all played a huge part in it, and it kind of based on, kind of how I grew up with the stuff that my parents instilled in me, with the foundation. To whom much is given, much is required. Kind of like how my family kind of, that's how kind of I was raised, and me and my siblings was raised. So for me, I just wanted to find ways to get back to the youth, especially Black and Brown, not only in, obviously starting in Eastern North Carolina where I grew up and then Chicago, but hopefully across the globe. So yeah, I think it's been huge for me. It's been a blessing I could use my platform and build that for little, the youth of brown and black, boys and girls around the world. Yeah, so like with the foundation, I think the kind of three pillars we kind of build off on is culture, um, culture, hold up, my bad, culture, education, and resources.
Hmm.
So like for like resources, just giving them the resources to, you know, for mental health experts so they can learn and do stuff with that, and resources of, healthy eating, and then educating them on mental health, and the stuff that goes into it, because all of it's kind of tied together, like
Hmm.
growing up, mental health, supported by, what you eat, how much you sleep,
Hmm.
getting out exercises. I know like kids nowadays, they don't, from when I grew up and during the summers and stuff, I stayed outside and in the sunlight and stuff like that. Now kids got like video games and all types of technology, but like getting outside whenever the sun's out, having a good day, those type of things and what goes into that. And then just the cultural part of it is like, for them having a platform or a place to where they can express their passions, whether it's arts, music, sports, whatever that may be. I think just continuing to, give them the platform to express themselves, express their passions, because I know growing up where I grew up, we wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff, exposed to, I feel like for me personally, growing up, it was basketball and that was it for me. I wasn't exposed to anything else. Like you know, me and my peers, that's just what it was because growing up in poverty and part of Eastern North Carolina. So I just want to give kids that grew up the way that I grew up, different outlets, resources, stuff that I kind of wish that I had when I grew up. So that's been a huge part for me.
I love that you speak to one being almost like being what you wish you kind of had in a way too. I know it may not be what you wish you would have had, but like like what wasn't there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to be that, and be there for the next generation. I love that you speak to that. I think that leads into my next question perfectly because the one thing I think I admire, especially about our conversation today, I think to even give me more insight, is your attention to mental health. I'm somebody who's also very big on mental health and taking care of it every day and being aware of where I'm at
Yeah.
mentally every day, which I think is extremely important because there's different ways. I remember you said the interview, sometimes we'll go on a walk, sometimes listening to music. I'm pretty sure sometimes it's like working out and those kind of things that really help you mentally, which I think are really important because the mental piece also speaks to like you're not forgetting where you came from. Like speaking from you came from poverty and now you're in a place where you have generational wealth to really change the future going forward. And I think I say that to say because during Black History Month, I think it's of course important to recognize Black excellence and just the things that we should be focusing on as a community as far as like mental health and giving back and really building a community that is not just good for us now, but good for what is going to be after us. Um,
Hmm.
I would love for you to kind of speak to the moment, if you don't mind, on just when you really started taking that. piece of like mental health serious? And what does it feel like to be able to be in this place to make a change for not just your family immediately, but for people who are going to be the next up down the road?
hmm I think for me, the moment was finding when I was in high school, kind of finding out that my dad had liver cancer, and kind of my mom kind of explained to me. I think I was like 16, 17, kind of basically explained to me that like it was too far. There was like nothing they could really do about it. So for me, I think in that moment, my mental health kind of I didn't realize it because I was like so young and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And, you don't really realize it, and then like just truth be told, like in African American families and stuff, you don't sit at the dinner table and you don't talk about your problems or how you're feeling, and that's not really a thing. So
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I also started a foundation and make it okay to talk about your feelings at a young age. You don't have to be so tough, like just because what I'm saying, those type of things. So for me, finding out that news kind of hit me hard, and then in the back of my head, you thinking like, I'm thinking like, I don't come to reality with the terms of what was going on. So like in my head, I'm thinking like my dad, that ain't gonna happen. Like no matter what, like he's Superman, whatever. And so he passed in August of that year, and um, I didn't really feel myself changing, but kind of people around me did. You know what I'm saying? Like they would notice I would go through quiet spells. I wouldn't talk. They would notice some days I wasn't as happy as because I'm always I'm a like happy, naturally happy, joyful guy,
Hmm.
and I kind of got to points where I wasn't as joyful, I wasn't as happy, I wasn't as talkative, I wasn't the same person. I didn't realize it, but kind of people around me did. And then when I got to college, my teammates were some they didn't they didn't know. I didn't know. They didn't like they would be like, oh, Kobe not talking today again, or
Hmm.
Kobe got an attitude today again. And at those moments, I don't know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I don't know why my mind is like the way it is now. Like so then kind of what started it all. And then getting to the NBA, dealing with the adversity of that, and then like when COVID hit and everything stopped, and I didn't have basketball. You know, and then this is when I realized I was using basketball kind of as like a crutch, as kind of
Mm.
like a getaway because I didn't have it. And then like kind of everything went downhill for me mentally. Like, just dark days, dark times, stuff that I wasn't used to. So I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So then, because I ain't never, what I'm saying, I ain't never been taught about like mental health
Right.
and anxiety and all these other stuff. I never been taught or educated on it, so I don't know what was going on. So I went to our team's sports psychologist. He connected me with a therapist, and I kind of started to talk through my problems and talk through everything. And then I kind of got to the realization, like, dang, that's why I acted the way I acted when I was, it's starting with, probably even starting from childhood stuff, not even, with losing my dad, but stuff before that I had went through. And you kind of unpack all of that, everything that you've been holding in your whole life, you kind of start to unpack it, unravel it. And that kind of what started my mental health journey there was like COVID big time because I didn't have basketball. And that's when I figured out with all my problems, everything that I have gone through and everything that's happened to me, I always use basketball as a getaway. Or like basketball always. So then you start to think, well, the basketball gonna start bouncing one day. Like then what I'm gonna do? So like I think to get a head start on it now is like growing mentally, growing spiritually, doing the things you can to take care of your mental health, eating right, getting out, getting a good night's sleep, exercising, listening to music, whatever your outlets is or may be, continue to find those things because I'm still finding things that help me,
Hmm.
mentally. I'm still learning. I'm still searching for stuff that help me. Because like I said, basketball is my biggest supporter, my biggest crush, but it ain't gonna last forever. So I kind of think that's kind of how my mental health journey began, and it keeps transcending in the right direction.
I love that, man. I mean, like I said, if it kind of reminds you of, if we're supposed to be on this earth to be fruitful to others, we got to take care of the tree. At the end of the day, that includes the mental health and things like that. So, I appreciate you speaking to it, sharing your experiences, and sharing some of those moments that maybe a little bit tender, and just being that. Like, I think that's just like so important. I think even COVID was a big point. I think when people deal with mental health, I think I'm very glad we're in a space now where it feels a little bit more, we're able to have conversations like this. People are having more conversations. It's more a mainframe piece. But I come from a background where it wasn't talked about, and how there seems like a moment in your life where you start to see things change. But when you do the mental work, it it literally is like it's you start to run down from like your
Yeah.
memory to today, and you really
Yeah.
start doing the work. So I think it's beautiful that you're even on that journey. I think mental health is a rewarding experience because once you learn the tools, you got them forever. But sometimes the work that it takes to do the healing is the
Hmm.
hardest part, and that it's because it has to start here to be that for others. But I think one thing I've always heard is that sometimes people go through things to help somebody else. So I think when we have these conversations, when we have that this growth, when you do the work, then somebody else who you may not know, one of the kids in your foundation have a breaking point, and you may have the tools because you've done the work to be able to give them something earlier on in their life to change their life. So I
Hmm.
love that like you've done that work to be able to do that for others in the foundation. So I appreciate you sharing that and being transparent and just doing that work because that's really big.
For sure, bro.
I want to go into a couple more things before we get ready to close the conversation. One of the things I think I didn't speak to earlier, which I think also just ties into Black History Month, which I actually didn't learn was important for me until I got a little older, was
Mhm.
mentorship. I think sometimes for me, I know earlier on, sometimes the ego can get in the way. Like I don't need to, I can figure out life, but sometimes
Yeah.
you need people around you who are more successful or people who have been there before, or people who have that wisdom or experience they can give on to you to help shape you so you don't have to, what did Jay-Z say? I went through that so you don't have to go through that. That
Mhm.
kind of deal. And I know that's been a thing that you've had in your life. I know I think in previous interviews, I think like you said, CP was a mentor for you, and you have people in the league who have been mentors for you. I still have to say, can you just kind of speak to the importance of that mentorship and also being able to receive that information and wisdom without having like your ego or your thoughts get in the way, which I feel like can be an easier thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's very important for me. I think like you said, the ego part of it, but I think putting your pride aside is what does wonders for you as a person and a human being. Because the fact is you don't know everything. I know like the quicker you realize you don't know everything, the better off you're gonna be. I
Yeah.
think for me for me it was like I never was a guy. I'm stubborn. I admit, like I'm stubborn and I'm this and I'm that. But I think for me, it was always easier because I looked up to guys like Chris Paul. So for me, Chris Paul being from North Carolina, I always looked up to him in regard to basketball. Like no matter what, like basketball. But then I started playing for his AAU team. I kind of got to know him. I seen all the stuff he do for Winston-Salem. I see all the stuff he do in his community. I think I see all the stuff he does for his family, for his AU program kids, and getting to know him as a person. I started to look up to him as a human being, as a mentor, and I think for me it got to the point where like I was like I want to do those things when I get older. I think he was a big part for me in starting the foundation, like I said, getting to know DeMar was a big one too, because everybody knows he's how outward he is with his mental health and everything that he's
Mhm.
been through and how he grew up. And the one thing about DeMar was that he was open about it, so you could ask him about it, you can talk to him about it, his childhood, how he grew up, everything that transpired with him. But then like I go to LA and then I'm with him and I see the stuff he does for, Compton where he grew up. I see the stuff, he does. And, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't even have to be a mentor. It could be your peers. Like Aya, who's on our team, who obviously plays in Chicago. He's obviously from Chicago. But the stuff he does for his community, throwing events on the South Side where it's very dangerous at, but getting those kids to come together and see, a guy come from where they come from, a guy that plays in the NBA, for me to be able to attend those events with him and seeing what he means to his community, what he means to the kids in his areas, giving them, a sense of hope, um, a sense of resiliency for everything he's done. So it doesn't necessarily have to be even like mentorship, but I think you can learn a lot from anyone. Obviously my family, I'm big on family. My brother and sister was my first mentors. Looking up to them, getting to, seeing what they've done in their life and how they carry themselves. I think they kind of like my parents was always working, like regardless, always working. So my sister, my brother, kind of the ones that always looked out for me a lot. So getting to know them, the people that they become, kind of set the standard for me. And then just obviously learn and continue to learn, and that's kind of like where I'm at with it now. Just I think the more knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have about anything, the more you can. They always say the loudest in the room is always, whatever. The more you can observe and learn, the better off
Mhm.
you be in life.
I love that. I love that. I think not only is that just beautiful to see how people have, you know, been open to give you that advice and to see it in you and to be able to share that wisdom with you because they know how bright your future is. But I think that also allows you to have the tools and wisdom one day to even be that for somebody else. So I love that's kind of the fresh, positive cycle that kind of starts and like the importance of mentorship from like the family level to just like life in general. So I appreciate you speaking to that, man.
For sure.
Thank you again 1,000% for joining the show and cutting out time during this season. Very excited to watch the rest of the season, see how everything goes. But no, we're rooting for you over here, man. We know you're about to kill it. And I already the proof is in the numbers. You don't need me to say it. I know you'll continue rocking and doing what you gotta do on that court to lead and see them W's come through. So I just appreciate you cutting out time for this, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely.